necessarily.
We're going to be committed to
I'm
excellence
gonna
in
have
speech.
to delete all of this. This is just super awkward.
No, this is really good. This is really good podcast opening.
No, I'm gonna cut this out. Definitely. We're gonna take 2 on that.
Welcome back to Run to Win, the Team OLA podcast, season 2, episode 2, baby.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna be episode 2.
Episode something.
Some episode in season 2.
Conrad, how do you do this Ash Wednesday?
This is good. We're hungry, which means we're getting faster.
It means you're getting faster.
Weight loss. How many days to the Chicago Marathon, Bailey?
I don't know. How many days until the Bank of America Shamrock Shuffle?
That is coming up.
That is coming up.
You're a fool, though. I had mine. I had my stuff mailed to me, and now we have to go. We have to go to the expo anyway.
Well, I'm not a fool because I didn't know that you needed to register so early to get all your stuff mailed to you.
I registered in January.
Yeah, that's early. The race is in March, dog.
I registered for the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
Because it's the Chicago Marathon. This is like, I expected the 8K to be, like your local neighborhood 5K.
I guess
where it's I'm gonna register,
maybe
2 weeks
make
before
me look like I'm planned
with
I'm,
a 30.
I'm really just
No,
B.
you know the city, and I've never run the Shamrock Shuffle before.
Me neither.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of expecting.
I mean, it's the same thing as the
hot
chocolate run. It's the same thing as all those races.
I think it's bigger than that.
No,
right?
Well, it's bigger, but it starts at Grant Park. It's like a very similar route. It has a real.
Did we talk about this
feel.
last time? The distance series.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Bank
also,
of America
we are
distance
221 days away.
We should have recorded yesterday. Then we would have been 222, baby.
Ooh. 222. I didn't know any of this joke.
Do we want to tell the story or no?
No.
All right. Skip that. Skip a fun story for another time. We'll save it for a rainy day. Speaking of rainy days, it's snowing.
Yes, the death knells of winter, as I like to call it.
That's right.
Every year, winter has a way of just saying no. I'm not leaving yet.
By the skin of its fingertips, it clutches on.
But it knows its time is short because Monday it's getting a high of 63.
Hey,
sunny.
Yo,
That's
what do they say? March comes in like a lion and out like a lamb, or is that April? Is that a thing?
I've never heard this saying.
That's definitely like a. I'm not gonna say that. Wow. Anyway, we're off to a hot start, I think.
Wow. There's so much editing I'm going to be doing later.
I was visiting my family this weekend, and my mom was talking about how she was listening to the podcast, and I don't remember what she brought up, but she brought up some reference to the podcast, and I was like, "You've been listening?" She goes, "Yeah." This was like the marathon debrief video. She's like, "You don't debrief the marathon at all." I was like, "We don't. You don't remember this? You're glazed, bro, right now." You had that 1,000-yard stare.
I can't even see 1,000 yards away. Wait, I'm confused.
What are you confused about?
What is your mom saying? Maybe this is just the Ash Wednesday confusion.
The Ash Wednesday fog.
What's going on?
You better get used to this fog if you're trying to lose 30 pounds.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, daily fasting.
I was visiting
body and soul.
I was visiting my family this weekend. It was my dad's birthday.
Yeah. So what did your mom say? My
mom dropped some reference to the pod.
Like a bit?
Yeah, like she referenced a bit, and I was jarred. And I was like, that was from the podcast. You were a fly on the wall. So she made some reference to the podcast. I was like, "You've been listening?" She goes, "Yeah, I listened to the episode where you're supposed to debrief the marathon, and you debrief 50 other things."
Oh my gosh! Even your mom can't escape roasting us.
I know.
Well, we drag so many people on the show that someone's got to drag us.
Someone's got to drag
Sister
us.
Steph, then.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of Sister Steph, should we do a business?
I will let you do the business.
Tom Business. I was thinking about this earlier. We should call this the Business Blitz. Now that
and then I have to make some sweet buttery. No, I'm not gonna do that. You heard it here, folks. I'm not gonna do that.
Here's the business. One, there's a communication survey. Fill out all the ways you want to be communicated to, so you don't get annoying communication. Look in the email. Training groups last year and this year, People have expressed interest in training with other people, so they're not just like training on by yourself. And said, if you want options for training groups, look in the emails. If you want to meet your motivator, again, look in the email. Also, speaking of motivators, expect a phone call from your motivator sometime this month in March, or expect some type of alternate communication according to your preference. WhatsApp, group me, text, email, whatever. Motivators are going to be on top of that stuff. And if you need to know what kind of marathon gear to get, this week we talking socks. This week we talking nutrition. Look in the email. But other than that, that's it. We've had one email update since the last time we recorded, and a lot of it is similar stuff, which is good.
Yeah.
But we're still kind of like outside of the realm of training or like the official, 12 to 18 week training block, unless you're getting dialed in the distance series to keep yourself accountable. #us.
Unless you're training for Boston.
Unless you're training for Boston, Danny Sanchez.
Or unless you're building a base, which is what Danny was doing. So a seminarian buddy of ours, right now he's in the thick of marathon prep for Boston, but during pilgrimage he was building a base. So what he told me, this guy is a madman. He would just go running at like 5 a.m. in the dark in a foreign country by himself. He'd probably run no less than 9 miles every day.
He ran
anywhere between like 9 to 13, 14, 15 miles every day. I think one time he ran 18.
That's a lot of miles.
But he's fast, so he was
quick.
running them at like, sevens, which is slow for him, like flat sevens.
Yeah.
That he says that's his recovery pace, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's like tempo time.
You say I recover too fast.
No, but the thing is, I was asking him, I was like, so what are you doing? You're not exactly training for Boston yet, or you are? And he said, no, I'm building a base. So I'm running at a slow pace, intentionally slow pace, so that my body has plenty of time to recover. It's not breaking down. I'm not running fast in order to keep it chilly, and I'm just aiming for mileage, just volume. No speed workouts, nothing crazy, which sounds a little boring. But he was clocking in, I don't know how many miles per week, probably like 50.
Get that 40. Volume in.
Well, 30 plus miles per week.
It's a lot of miles.
It's a lot of miles, but he said it's just to get his body acclimated to running for long periods of time, long distances, so that come like actual Boston Marathon, he can focus on speed work. He doesn't have to worry about getting himself acclimated to running 20 miles, he's already there. He just needs to dial in the speed and hit it at race pace. So that's an interesting way to go about it. If you want to make like marathoning all year round, you're just building base in the off season.
There's no off season.
There is no off season. I think that's the ideal.
My sport is your sport's punishment.
How many times did you hear that in high school?
A lot.
It is.
Actually, I didn't hear it that much because I only played soccer for a year. So
it is true, though. I mean, a warm up. I didn't run track or cross country, but people can testify. Like a warm up, a low level warm up. It's like a 2 miler.
Yeah.
Whereas I played lacrosse, and we would do like speed test for a mile run, speed test. That was a speed test.
Yeah.
Whereas theirs is like, well, you're going to run 2 miles to warm up, and then we'll actually do the speed test.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my, and then you have to cool down for a mile, and it's just like,
I know.
Golly.
They do all the little things well.
They do it well. That's why I admire track and field.
Yeah.
And they eat healthy.
Discipline.
They're disciplined.
That's what. If you're a high school chaplain, are you going to run with the cross country team?
I don't think I'd be fast enough. Well, depends. Depends if I get faster.
Maybe.
I mean, it would be fun. I don't think I'd ever be a high school chaplain though. Dawson priests, not Chicago Dawson priests are typically not high school chaplains. That is honestly like a country phenomenon. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Like them country priests.
Honestly though, like
them Rockford
the guys
priests.
from like Rockford, guys from like Missouri, Iowa, they're like all big on like Grand Rapids. They're big on like high school chaplaincy. I know one high school chaplain who's a Dawson priest. One. That's it.
Oh. And the rest are religious.
The rest are religious. They're just religious run. Or the high school just doesn't have like a full-time chaplain. They might have a parish priest nearby who will come in, celebrate mass, and kind of hang out. And I know a guy who does that.
Yep.
But like, yeah, I only know one guy who's a full-time high school chaplain assigned.
Wow, crazy.
So I don't know. And also, most of our high schools are run by religious anyway in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's just how we roll.
Yeah.
So.
That's how they roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Franciscans run a school, not a high school.
In your diocese?
No, in your diocese. What? These Franciscans.
Mission, the Franciscans of the Eucharist?
Yeah, they got a school.
Well,
they teach classes.
We can clarify this when I interview Sister Steph sometime soon.
Oh, what?
Oh, big reveal. But no. So actually, funny story. One time during my internship, I actually went to Sister Laura Tove's school, and I co-taught with her, which was a fun thing for me. It was my day off, but I was like, you know what?
It was fun, and we laughed.
Another joke no one understands. But
you just look directly into the camera.
I love these words.
Golly, call you Deadpool.
All right, a movie we cannot reference. All right, that's it there. So I was in the school. Gosh, Sister Steph's gonna drag us. Like, you guys are in a million directions again. All right.
Dialed.
And I went to, so there's this one school that she would go to, and what she did, she just taught religion. So I think she started at like 4th grade or 3rd grade, and from like 10 a.m. until dismissal, 3 p.m., she would just, revolve every hour.
Dang.
Going up, so she eventually ended with, well, I think it was kind of random actually. So she ended with like the 5th graders, but it was like 4th grade, then 7th grade, then
that's
8th
crazy.
grade, then 6th grade, then 5th grade. And she did that every Friday. I guess she still does that every Friday. I don't know. But it was a ton of fun. But they all teach at different schools, right? And it's all grade schools. It's all middle schools.
Gotcha.
And how they do it, it seems like it's different depending on the school. So
gotcha.
Sister Laura had this system where she just comes in, she
yeah.
pretty much takes the class over and is like kind of moonlights as his teacher,
mm-hmm.
and then does the thing. Whereas I think some Franciscans are much more like, they come in twice a week, so they're a little more stable. They're like kind of they're like giving the kids homework and stuff like that. I don't know. She was like a guest speaker.
Ooh, guest speaker once a week.
Weekly guest speaker.
Weekly guest speaker.
I don't know if she gave them homework. I don't think she did. I wouldn't give them homework.
Yeah, you don't believe in that kind of stuff?
I don't need to talk about my views about school in this podcast. That's going to get us canceled. All right, we're done.
It's Ash Wednesday, first day of Lent. You're going to cook up some scripture for us?
Yeah, dude. So we're renaming this podcast.
We are.
Run to Win.
Run to Win.
Intro already played.
Hip-hop intro.
Colors, Team Ole colors.
Yeah.
The yellow, the black.
AI generated.
Not AI generated. But made using CapCut. Shout out. Made using a machine. Now, where are we getting this whole Run to Win from? It is
somewhere in Paul.
From, St. Paul. It is St. Paul. Oh, shoot. I brought the wrong Bible. That's awkward.
Wrong translation. What Bible did you bring?
I brought the NRSV, which is not as well. Okay.
Oh,
I also can't say that.
You almost exposed your biblical preferences.
Oh my gosh! No one has any idea what we're talking about.
Different Catholic translations of the Bible. Some people are preferential to some more than others.
Yep. So here's what St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 24 reads. Do you not know that the runners in the stadium all run in the race, but only one wins the prize? Run so as to win. So that's where we're getting it from, run so as to win, or run to win for short, because everyone likes 3 letters, 5 or 3 words. 5 is a bit too clunky.
Mm-hmm.
And St. Paul is talking, obviously, about the Christian life and how it is a race, and that we have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And it involves similar things as an athlete in a stadium.
Yeah.
Disciplining the body, practicing virtue.
Athletes deny themselves all sorts of things.
That's the next line. But to do what? To win a perishable crown? But we win a perishable one?
A crown of leaves that withers.
A crown of leaves. So it is, so yeah, so excellence, right?
Yeah.
Because we're supposed to be motivators. Bale and I are supposed to be motivators. So we're trying to motivate more.
I hope you're motivated.
We're trying to motivate more using this podcast. Rather than making it a talk show.
More motivation.
We're just going to be talking about excellence. And excellence. So that is it. The last episode, we talked about excellence. We talked about the Chesterton quote, which is okay. So here's the actual full context.
Oh, nice.
Quote.
This is good.
I have it. Ready?
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Okay, so G.K. Chesterton, 20th century British author. He wrote in his book, an essay called "What's Wrong with the World." Cheeky British humor. He says this.
Quirky.
He says this.
There's so many things wrong with the world. That's how I imagine Chesterton speaking.
Nothing and everything. Maybe a quote from him. I don't know. All right, here's an actual quote from him.
Okay.
A man ought to glory in the fact, or a woman, let's be real, both. People ought to glory in the fact.
A good disclaimer.
That they're capable of making fools of themselves. If a thing is worth doing, it is worth doing badly.
Yeah.
So an explanation of this would be there are things that we do that like ordinary people should in some sense be excluded from because they do it badly. So case in point A, I think marathon running is an interesting case study in this because I don't know, from what I understand, I wasn't born then, but from what I understand, have you ever seen Forrest Gump? All right.
I actually haven't seen Forrest Gump all the way through. Really?
Oh my gosh. Have you seen it far enough to where because it's kind of like a historical period piece, right? So
from what I understand.
He starts running.
He's running.
And he just runs. He just
runs.
Walks out and starts running.
He just starts running.
So if I understand, that's a reference to this trend in like the 80s, 90s where people just started like running.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a big thing. Nike, when Nike came out.
No, I've seen that movie about them making the Jordan shoes.
Yes. What was that movie called?
I don't know. Nike.
No,
that's not
Nike.
It. Jordan.
No, that's
Air Force.
No. Where they signed Michael Jordan.
23 in me.
It's called Air. Okay.
Air,
so I've seen this movie. It's a good movie. Air is a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Air's a very good movie.
But Ben Affleck's, that's like the running bit is like, oh, I'm going for a jog. Nike makes running shoes. I'm going for a jog.
Yeah, so that...
It's like dripped out in his
because Nike was a
tracksuit.
nothing company. Well, that's not true. Apparently, so Nike wasn't making basketball shoes yet, okay?
They weren't making
Jordan
line, for sure.
But they were making running shoes.
Yeah.
And they're big on it. Track USA, Tracktown USA, Portland, Nike, all that stuff. And so, like, in Forrest Gump, when he actually starts running, it's like a reference to this trend that's building. People are just going out for jogs. You didn't really see that.
Yeah.
Yes. I was born in 1999. I'm aging myself. It's like, I don't know. People seem to have always been running, right? You grew up in the 21st century.
Yeah, it seems like it.
It seems like everyone's always been running.
Running is a thing people do.
Yeah, but not always a thing. And so... And when it was just starting, it seemed like it was an elite thing. Like Olympians run, right? Like professional. If you're gonna run, you're gonna be a pro at it. Otherwise, why would you bother even trying it? Why would you do that?
Yeah,
why would
I don't know.
You could have more fun doing other things, right? And why would you put yourself through all that physical pain?
Yeah,
when you're not gonna win a medal or be a pro athlete, right?
Yeah.
But then it became this recreational thing. Like people were like, "There's a lot of health benefits. This is actually kind of fun."
Yeah.
Ordinary people started hopping into it.
I'm with you.
People who were not professional runners.
Yep.
People who were running super slow.
People like us.
Got to put that soft drag in there. People like us were faster. And and it became just this leisurely thing. And I think now, apparently, I don't know if this is true, so don't quote me on this, but what I heard was I saw this
rumor on the street.
Graph. My editing skills aren't good enough. If I find it, I'll put it up. But don't expect anything great.
ChatGPT.
Don't expect anything great. But different story for another time. So like 1980s, whatever. 1980s. This is to imagine the graph. This is the graph.
I'm imagining
the Y axis.
I got you.
1980s.
Yeah.
This is like people. Average number of Americans who are signed up for a marathon. Right.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
And it's like slowly rising. 1990s, 2000s, 2010s. It starts to peak a little bit from what I understand. And it's post-COVID that it just swings.
Yeah.
It's like
skyrocket.
And now it's like, and I know personally speaking, I'll talk to my friends who are my age, and it's like a trend. Everyone is signing up for a marathon. Everyone wants to run a marathon. Everyone's running. Everyone's getting Hokas. Everyone's, all this stuff.
It's true.
So ordinary people are now totally, I think, bought into the whole running hype. Whereas before, it was
people are bought in. One of my best friends on the planet, high school friend of mine, was a thrower, like threw on the cross country team, not the cross country team, on the track and field team.
Yeah, I don't think they do throwing cross country, dude.
Hey, maybe
throw out your ass.
Maybe they
throwing
throw
your
hands.
ACL.
They throw them cross country spikes into the knee of your opponent. Heyo.
Oh gosh.
Toxic high school
That is
cross country.
This is a true story somewhere.
I know someone in the future listening to this is gonna just instant flashback.
Yeah.
Dramatic, Act 3 flashback scene.
Right, don't make it put trigger warnings. I can't. My editing skills are at their peak.
So she was a thrower, so not a runner, but she sent me a TikTok. I don't know when. She's like, if you're in your mid-20s, you're either engaged or training for a marathon. Those are your two options. And she goes, so are there spots left for the OLA team? And I said, no, the team is full. But that's a good meme, and there's always next year.
Especially when you got two baggers with the distance series under their belt. and those are 2 free spots on Team OLA that we're not taking up anymore. But we'll still be able to run for them.
Still be able to run. Still raise that.
Because we don't need that guaranteed entry anymore.
Yes.
Exactly. So plug, if you didn't know, the distance series. Bank of America, Shamrock Shuffle, 8K. It's 5 miles. The Bank of America half marathon, 13.1 miles. And then the full marathon, 26.2 miles. The 8K is in end of March. The half marathon is in the summertime, usually end of May, beginning of June. June 1st is what it's on this year. And then the full marathon is obviously in October.
Mm-hmm.
And all these 3 combined, because they're all run by Bank of America or put on by Bank of America, Bank of America calls it the Distance Series.
And if you run all 3, you get guaranteed entry in the next year's race.
The next year's full marathon.
The next year's full marathon, correct.
So right now, because you run for Team OLA, we have the benefit of getting guaranteed entries. Normally it's a lottery or a timed based on your time, merit entry.
Yeah.
So, but for us, if you finish the distance series, then you have a guaranteed entry already for next year, and you don't necessarily need a charity team to sign on with a charity team to get to run, right? Which means because you're already in the race, essentially, someone else can take your spot on Team OLA, but you'll still be on Team OLA.
And that's how the team keeps growing. You know what they say: fall in love, stay in love, and it will change everything.
Whoa, Pedro Rupe, yeah. Father Pedro Rupe.
Yeah.
I visited his tomb in Rome.
Golly.
That was epic. Yeah.
That was a deep cut from the vault.
I don't know where that came from. No one knows either. Oh, well. Okay, so Chesterton. Back to Chesterton.
Wow. We did it. We made it. I forgot where we were going.
All right.
Fools.
Back to Chesterton. So it's all about...
There it is.
Ordinary people should... So there shouldn't be elitism.
How do we get here?
When it comes to excellence. Ordinary people should be able to do things like running.
Yeah.
Because it's worth doing. It's worth doing badly. It's worth
I have done it badly.
It's worth like starting off slow.
Yeah.
Not having good runs, feeling kind of gross and weird.
Yeah.
But it's worth doing.
Yep, absolutely. And every time there's an analogy like this, it rubs thin or runs thin eventually. And I think one thing that where Paul's analogy of like the runner running the race where it runs thin is I think about something like the Chicago Marathon in the context of holiness. And if you play it out all the way through, you could say that, okay, well, Eliud Kipchoge, he runs to win and he wins the prize.
And he wins.
And he wins, and the other 50,000, sorry, you don't win.
Mm.
And I don't think that's the case at all. In fact, I know that's not the case with heaven, where it's like, all right, you win the prize, and everyone else, you lose. Sorry. Like the mercy of Jesus is so great, and so everyone who finishes the race, so you have like the run to win, and then you have the I've competed well.
Yeah,
I've finished the race, and that's enough. So I mean, we hold these things in tension, like we were talking about last time. We want to run to win, and we want to prepare as if we could win, beat ourselves, beat our goal, beat whatever expectation. But there are seasons of life where running is something worth doing, and it's worth doing badly, and the best you can do is to do it badly.
But you're doing
and
it.
you still finish the race,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Because you do it. Because you run.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Running, I mean, half the time you're racing against yourself anyway.
Yep.
Which is kind of a good thing. Yeah, because you're not exactly in it for prize money or get a first place spot.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to beat my goal.
Dude, if we were in it for the prize money, I'd go broke.
I'd be toast.
I'd be broke.
Yeah. Hoke is not sponsoring me anytime soon. That's for sure. Maybe if I,
But you're going to be sponsoring Hoka sometime in the near future.
Yeah, because I'm buying some new shoes.
Exactly. Thanks for picking up on that.
Whoa. Yeah, that was that British humor. All right, Bailey. React to this. So.
Okay. Wow, this is a
Pope
dangerous game.
John Paul II.
Okay. Big fan.
Wednesday, September 2nd, 1987.
What? Wednesday, September 2nd?
September 2nd, 1987.
Yo, that's my birthday.
Are you serious?
Yeah, September 2nd.
Whoa. Hey,
That's
shout out.
crazy. Wow. That's
All right, well,
my
if we
reaction.
go back in time, happy birthday.
12 years. Yeah.
In anticipation. So he gives an address
Okay.
on
my
the
birthday.
occasion of the Athletics World Championships.
On the
On your
occasion
birthday,
of
minus
Bailey
12 years.
Pearson's birthday, 12 years in the future.
He says this. He says, "Dear young athletes, I'm happy to greet you, blah, blah, blah."
Words of a saint, no big deal.
So he says,
Oh, man.
we all know that sport is a highly disciplined exercise of the body.
Sport.
It seeks
I
to
love
develop
that.
a person's physical faculties, strength, stamina,
Uh-huh.
all working together
Yep.
toward a harmony of movement and action.
Oh, okay.
Through sport, we try to attain physical excellence. However, there is another dimension to sports activity. Sport is also an important moment for guaranteeing the balance and total well-being of the person. An age that has witnessed the ever-increasing development of various forms of automation, especially in the workplace, reducing the use of physical activity, many people feel the need to find appropriate forms of physical exercise that will help to restore a healthy balance of mind and body. From here arises that special interest and attention to sports, which today attract great masses to athletic competitions of every kind. He's writing this in 1987, with the rise of running for the ordinary folk.
Oh,
Right?
I
full
get what you're
circle.
saying. Dang.
All right, but here's
You've
something.
been doing some research.
Here's a cool thing.
Okay.
So because we're talking about now, we're bringing in like our own religious tradition and faith background into running. That's because that informs our running.
Yeah.
As Catholic seminarians. So he reminds the athletes, Pope John Paul II, that there are certain values in your life which cannot be forgotten. Primary among them is the religious meaning of human existence. And this is an interesting thing to think about. Sport, as you well know, is an activity that involves more than the movement of the body. It demands the use of intelligence and the disciplining of the will. It reveals, in other words, the wonderful structure of the human person created by God as a spiritual being, a unity of body and spirit. Athletic activity can help every man and woman to recall that moment when God the Creator gave origin to the human person, the masterpiece of his creative work.
Yeah. Wow, there's so much to react to. And
That's just the first part.
what? Golly, how much time do you think we have?
I don't know.
Seriously, how much time do we have?
I have no idea. We have
Well,
time.
you want to talk long because you want to edit out that first part.
Well, yeah, it's true. I don't know. All right, react.
These are my thoughts. One, I mean I agree wholeheartedly with like the unity of body and spirit. I think that's an underrated thing that oftentimes isn't thought about. The mental decision to choose whatever. And I think about this in the context of like a speed workout versus a long run. Like I would choose a long run over a speed workout any day because I choose to run once versus running a speed workout. Like you have to choose to run fast multiple times. And that choice is hard. So I want in those times, I want to take the easy way out and just choose, once. Or there was a time I was like training for a marathon, but I wanted to play Frisbee really bad. And I ran 6 miles and then played Frisbee, and I played terrible because I was just dazed after running and my decision making was horrible. Like I just made really bad throws and really bad routes and all that thing. So I feel that on a personal level. And another thing is I think about this in regards to pace groups, because even if you are running long, like there are a lot of decisions that you make along the way. And so if you, I credit, shout out Abby, wherever she is, my pacer for the Madison Marathon, who I just followed her. I didn't have to decide when to go fast, when to take it easy, when to do whatever. Like, I just followed. And the energy of making all of those decisions was cut out. Yeah, so I think that's a really interesting dynamic that we can look at more. Spirit and body merged together. And another thing struck me early on, if we're going to draw out this long extended analogy between sport and the Christian life, he's talking about like all of these things in harmony, like create an atmosphere or an environment within the person for excellent athletic competition, stamina and balance and endurance and whatever. So if you run that through, I wonder what someone would put like as all the factors at play contributing to, excellent Christian life. The virtues, obviously, fruits of the Holy Spirit, I say you could throw in there. But those are some of my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man loves sport.
Man, in some sense, sport is very natural, but we can go into that another time. Now, so John Paul II himself was a big fan, like personally. Like Ratzinger, Pope Benedict, love him. You know it, right? As a theologian.
He wasn't skiing, though.
Not an athlete. He even has some hilarious bits in he has a memoir. It's called Milestones. And he talks about, so he grew up in the 1940s in Germany. Unfortunately, he grew up in Nazi Germany. And so back at that time when he was a middle schooler, or what would be the equivalent of a middle schooler today, a grade schooler, middle schooler, because of the Nazi regime, they were big on sports because they knew if we can basically produce, like, if all our youth become crazy athletes, they will become super soldiers. So all the kids in his grade were forced into these like exercise regimes, and sports became the dominating thing in their schools.
Yeah.
And he said he was terrible, and he flat out admits. He flat out admits he's like there was this development in modern education called sports, and I very much did not excel at it. I did not enjoy it one bit.
As only Benedict could say, a truly contemporary development in the educational system.
But if you think about the context,
sport,
you're like,
it is. I mean, it is
But yeah, so he was bad. He flatly admits like. He was just a walker. He walked, and that's it. He was not a sports guy. John Paul II, mountain climber, skier, soccer player, everything. Right?
Yeah.
Super, super good athlete. So he knows what he's talking about on a personal level. And I think for John Paul II, what he's trying to remind people, and this is the next part, he says this. What he's trying to remind people is that sports isn't just about winning prizes and medals and glory. It's not just about glory.
Mm-hmm.
It's about excellence. So if we go to this last part, he says, if sport is reduced to the cult of the human body, and so we're going to nuance what we mean by excellence. If sport is reduced to the cult of the human body, forgetting the primacy of the spirit, or if it were to hinder your moral and intellectual development or result in your serving less than noble aims, then it would lose its true significance, and in the long run, it would become even harmful to your healthy and full growth as human persons.
Oh.
And so this is a bar. Ready for this? You are true athletes when you prepare yourselves not only by training your bodies, but also by constantly engaging the spiritual dimensions of your person for a harmonious development of all your human talents. For athletic activity is never separated from the activities of the spirit. And then he says, my prayer for you, young athletes, is that you will always grow in respect for the authentically human values of sport, thanking God the Creator who has endowed you with extraordinary talents. I mean, so it's just, so what is he saying? So if we can break it down, because there's a lot of, this is pretty intense, right? But if you can break it down in the last minutes of this episode, what is he saying? Sports are not, we also can't fall into this, I think the language we use, or the word we use, is reduction. We can't fall into this reduction where sports is simply a physical thing, where sports are just about becoming physically excellent. So when we talk about excellence, it's not just about having stronger muscles, being faster, looking good, There's more to excellence than that. Excellence is the whole person. So if we believe, so the Catholic tradition believes that we are body and soul.
Correct.
And we're not just, a body that has a soul or a soul that is in a body, but that we are body and soul all at the same time in one. So John Paul II is famous for his theology of the body, who says that you are your body. And just kind of this revelatory, this kind of great line, right? You are your body. You don't just have a body. You're not just something in a body. You are your body.
Yep.
Right. So to live where you're only dealing with the body, you're not working the spirit, or to deny your body and try to live this like angelic life are not good things. We don't follow those extremes. To develop the whole person is to say sports are good for my physical excellence and my physical health, but it would be harmful and unhealthy for me in the long run to only devote myself to that if I don't also pursue spiritual excellence, which is what sports are meant to actually help me do, is pursue spiritual excellence. The exercise of the will, the disciplining of the will should strengthen me in my pursuit of virtue, which is not a physical reality, but a spiritual reality.
It's true.
Self-control. So we want to talk about in more secular terms, right? Because a lot of people don't understand the language of virtue. Well, self-control. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
That is like an invisible reality. You can't exactly see self-control happening. You can see your blood flowing in a run and all that stuff, and your muscles, expanding and contracting, working, right? But you can't see the exercise of self-control on that level. But it's a thing that's happening. So you're talking about Abby, your pacer.
Shout out.
She's guiding everyone because she has a certain spiritual discipline in herself to be able to say, now is a time where we go faster. Now is a time we don't go faster because we're going to actually burn ourselves out. She has to decide. It's not just an automatic thing. She's not just running and just letting it all out.
It's not like it's not like a pace car. That's just like that's what pace cars sound like.
But even all of you at the same time, you're not in the pace car, but you're not being dragged along.
Yeah.
You have to keep up. And that's a decision. That it's not just something that happens on a physiological
That's
level.
True. Hey, thank you.
You are deciding. You're deciding with your will.
I've decided
to follow Abby, to trust that she's saying the right speed.
I decided to follow Jesus.
All right, we gotta cut that out. John Paul said, okay, I'm not going to go there. Reactions.
Yeah, I mean, you make me sound more virtuous than I made myself sound, just like
that's my goal.
Animal.
I'm just following Abby.
I'm just following. I don't make decisions while playing frisbee.
Mordens.
I just run.
I just run for the Mordens.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say. You broke that down beautifully. And I think if we take this one spiritual thing of self-control and break it down, and how running helps us in the spiritual life or in the natural life, we judge. Runners will be able to tell what goes into their running and what comes out of their running. If I pound a burger and then immediately run, my run's probably not going to be as good as if I eat a peanut butter and banana toast and then wait hour and a half to 2 hours and then run. Like those. And then based on the fruit, you can make decisions going like, oh, maybe, or like I'm going to get extra sleep tonight because I got a long run tomorrow. I'm feeling tired. I got to rest. So if we're able to notice these things when we're running, I think so too, we can notice them in the spiritual life, and we can make decisions based on what's good for us, what's bad for us, what has yielded good spiritual fruit in the past, and like what detracts from that. Me taking time for silence in the morning, making my coffee in silence, kind of sitting, staring at a wall, maybe drinking that, or doing some spiritual reading before, taking some scripture, etc., and then praying a holy hour. The fruits are totally different than if I'm like waking up, sleeping in, I hit the snooze a couple times, make my coffee while I'm listening to Kendrick, and I'm like reading some sci-fi novel, and then I go pray. Those are totally different. And we continue to make decisions, or we continue to try to make decisions virtuously according to like what will yield good fruit. So I think there's another comparison between how running and excellence in sport can help us or aid us in excellence in the spiritual life.
Yeah.
And in life of virtue in general.
Because it should. If I train, I was thinking about this today when I was running. If you, why is it? Unfortunately, why is it that you don't see as like a person can be an excellent athlete, but not necessarily an excellent person off the field.
Yeah.
You know. And John Paul II he goes into that in this address. He says, "You're observed by many people to the athletes and expected to be outstanding figures not only during athletic competitions but also when you're off
I see where he's
the
going
sport
with
field.
this.
You are asked to be examples of human virtue, apart from your accomplishments of physical strength and endurance." But I think what happens is sport is reduced to the call of the body, and that is why you see this divide between you see a divide in our culture between the body and the soul. You see a divide between athletic excellence and moral excellence.
Yeah.
And what John Paul II is advocating for, and as we as Catholics, we want to advocate for, is there shouldn't be a divide. They should help with one another because the whole person is body and soul. If you're able to balance, if you're able to live a healthy physical life, you should also be able to live a healthy moral and spiritual life because the same discipline should apply. If we don't reduce the person to just a body, or vice versa to just the soul, then you just ignore the body, right? So excellence is is about the whole person. You're not just dealing with one part and then focusing only on that part. Like excellence in the Catholic sense of the word is dealing with the entirety of your life.
Yeah.
Which I think is really beautiful. We're talking about ordinary life and running.
Yeah.
Because then, running is worth doing. It's worth doing badly because it's more than just about running. It's more than just about like having big calves.
Well done.
And having, a night looking good all the time, right? Like it actually does help you be a better person.
Yeah.
And not just in like a superficial way, like you're just nicer or more polite. Like you are actually becoming an excellent human being.
Yeah.
By like pursuing excellence in this sport.
That was very nicely said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Man, thank you. Yeah,
I can't say that as good as you do. Can you hit them with the thank you?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
The phlegmatic thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Next question, reporter.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right, people are losing their minds. That's it. We're done.
Yeah, we started a little rocky. We were kind of, and then we got dialed near the end.
That part will be deleted. So people won't have any idea what you're talking about.
Man, I mean, you're talking big editing game, but until I see it or I don't see it.
Whoa! All right. That's fair.
I think we're at time then.
Yeah. Well, so I fixed the whole it stops recording at a certain time.
So
it doesn't matter. You can just talk forever.
Hey,
but no one wants to hear that.
No one wants to hear that. That's idle chatter.
That is idle chatter. So, 221 days until the Bank of America
awesome if we
Chicago Marathon.
Yesterday.
Would have been great. But oh well. Ash Wednesday. Happy fasting. If you do that,
Lent.
Happy Lent. Good start of Lent of this, and I don't even know what I just said there. That's the Ash Wednesday brain fog. Yeah.
Peace.